tonight, an ALS patient dies alone after paying tens of thousands to a controversial Moose Jaw Health Center. Prince Albert remembers a teenage girl shot and killed at home as her family continues to search for answers.
Dewdney Avenue, which is now open!
And relief for businesses on Regina's Dewdney Avenue. The road is back open after 2 years of construction.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Monday, December 1st. CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Alexander Silberman. We begin with new scrutiny over a controversial ALS health facility in Moose Jaw. American patient Susie Silvestri came to Saskatchewan chasing a promise of healing for a disease widely known as a death sentence. But after tens of thousands of dollars, she died alone in hospital. As Jeff Leo reports, Silvestri's story exposes alarming gaps in healthcare oversight.
In just 4 short months, Susie Silvestri went from being convinced that she was going to be healed of her ALS at a Canadian health center to being stuck in a small-town U.S. hospital, all alone, unable to eat and fighting for her life. Her journey began last year when she came across this man, Dewdney, a scientist who tells people,
not to be flippant, but stopping the progression of ALS actually isn't that hard.
Susie texted her brother, brace yourself. He has a 100% success rate with all his ALS patients.
Well, you know, when you've got a death sentence, you're going to try whatever you can.
So last summer, she put her home up for sale so she could afford the cost of Dewdney's 3-month live-in program, which was $84,000 US. She hired a medically equipped plane and flew from her North Carolina home to Dewdney's Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan Health Center.
He was hoping to be cured. Sort of, Susan, I think you're crazy, but best of luck for this trip.
But instead of getting better, she progressively got worse. Her brother, Charles, watched helplessly from his home in the US.
He couldn't swallow, couldn't eat. You know, that's what it does. It takes away your muscles.
Her hospital records say she was in end-stage ALS, defined as the final phase of the disease. She begged doctors at the Moose Jaw Hospital for a feeding tube, but they said no, because her American insurance would not pay the bill. So Susie decided to travel 4 hours south to a small town in Montana where her insurance company agreed to cover the cost. Susie had to make all the arrangements by herself, and she had to foot the bill for her travel. A former Dewdney worker was frustrated that the company didn't step up and help her.
To see little Susie with her, laptop trying to figure this stuff out by herself, I think more care should put into that.
Susie's siblings say they were trying to bring her home as she kept getting worse. Her last text in the family group chat was this photo on Christmas Eve last year. Susie died on Boxing Day, all alone in that Montana hospital. Earlier this year, a CBC investigation examined Dewdney and his restorative healthcare center. Some of his former clients told CBC they did not get better on his supplements as promised, but he cast doubt on that.
And we do document every single person that comes through our center. Okay? They leave that center better than they came in. Okay? And that's just simply a fact.
Dewdney is suing CBC for those stories, alleging that they are defamatory. Through his lawyer, he told CBC he had no comment about Susie's story, writing, quote, "We don't talk to people we are in active litigation against."
This is the new Wild West of laissez-faire health delivery and health service.
Dan Florizone used to run Saskatchewan's Ministry of Health. He says it's shocking that Dewdney's center is completely unregulated by the provincial government, given the condition of the people it serves and the high level of care it provides. It says this story should be a wake-up call.
So buyer beware is not the principle by which we want to operate a health system.
Jeff Leo, CBC News, Regina.
Now, that story was brought up in Saskatchewan's legislature, and the Minister of Health says he's referring the issue to the College of Physicians and Surgeons.
That's the opportunity for FCA to take a closer look.
But in terms of the categorization,
there's other questions about the clinic that closed in Regina.
However, the College of Physicians and Surgeons says it can only police its own members. Goodenow isn't a medical doctor, nor does he claim to be. When questioned, the minister repeated that he'll discuss the issue with the college and make a referral to Saskatchewan's Financial and Consumer Affairs Authority. He says that agency will ensure the business is accurately representing itself to customers. Community members in Prince Albert are coming together to grieve the loss of a 16-year-old girl killed last week. The girl was shot in her own home, and a teenage boy was arrested that same morning. But as Aisha Ashraf reports, the family is still looking for answers.
Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Dozens stood outside a West Flat home Saturday night, holding candles, praying, and honoring Rihanna Nelia Cook, who was fatally shot early Thursday morning. A memorial now sits on the front steps. Candles, stuffed animals, and flowers marking where police found the 16-year-old with life-threatening injuries. She was later pronounced dead at the scene. Her father, Samson Cook, recalls stirring awake to the sound of chaos coming from the basement.
My wife and I were sleeping, and then when we heard a loud pop, I kind of figured that maybe a balloon popped or a ball was over-inflated. I jumped up right away from the bed, and the wife jumped up too, and we both, I ran into the living room, and I can hear the commotion happening downstairs in the basement there. When I looked downstairs, I seen my daughter laying on the floor, right at the bottom of the steps.
A 17-year-old boy who was in the home at the time was taken into custody. As of Monday, he is no longer being held. The family says the teen was known to them. They're now staying in a hotel with help from victim services while the investigation continues. The loss of Rihanna marks a tragic week for the family. One of her sisters died by suicide just a few days beforehand. Samson shared a parting message for parents in the community.
All I can say is that, is that keep their children safe, away from gang life and away from drugs and alcohol, because that's the leading thing that's taking all our children away.
The teen is expected to appear in court on December 17th. Aisha Ashraf, CBC News, Prince Albert.
And the Saskatchewan NDP says the family doctor shortage is getting worse and wants the government to do more. The NDP points to a new Angus Reid poll showing 1 in 4 people in the province don't have a family doctor. The opposition says that's straining emergency rooms and leaving thousands without access to basic care. It wants the government to start listening to frontline workers.
Listening, consulting with frontline folks about how to improve the system. That's going to do two things. That's going to retain employees by making them feel valued and that they're being listened to. But also, these folks have ideas about how to improve the system.
The NDP says immediate action is needed while long-term improvements are worked on. Health Minister Jeremy Cockrell didn't comment at the legislature Monday, but he previously said the government is expanding primary care teams, increasing nurse practitioner positions, and continuing to invest in recruitment and retention. Regina's former mayor, Sandra Masters, has a new job. She is now working for the provincial government and specifically Premier Scott Moe. Masters was appointed to the position of Deputy Chief of Staff of Communications for the Premier's office. An order in council confirmed the appointment Monday. Masters was the mayor of Regina for 4 years. During her time, the construction of a new indoor pool was approved. Masters was defeated by current mayor Chad Bashinsky in last year's municipal election. Businesses along Regina's Dewdney Avenue are getting some welcome relief. After 2 long years of construction, the road officially reopened to traffic. Dewdney Avenue from Albert Street to Broad Street was part of a $32 million revitalization project. It aimed to create a more vibrant and safe space for residents. Many business owners face challenges during construction, but they say they're happy with the results and optimistic about the future.
It's nothing but a huge sense of relief and excitement. Everyone's already talking about the future, what's to come, all that sort of stuff. The future's bright. Warehouse District, Dewdney Avenue is the place to be.
It's like a dream come true. We've been waiting for this day for so long And when I arrived at work here this morning and saw the cars driving by and people parked on Dewdney Avenue, it's just like life had returned. It was so fantastic.
The city says it will also be adding plants and seating along the street. It will hold an official grand reopening in the spring. Well, it was a frosty start to the day in Saskatoon. Here's a look at the South Saskatchewan River starting to freeze up after temperatures plunged over the weekend. We'll have your full weather forecast right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. 4 days after Stephen Guilbeault resigned as Identity and Culture Minister over the Ottawa-Alberta Pipeline Agreement, Prime Minister Mark Carney has named his replacement, former Justin Trudeau Minister Mark Miller.
I, Mark Miller, do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear.
Carney dropped Miller from cabinet after winning the Liberal leadership and did not bring him back after the election. Miller held both the Immigration and Crown Indigenous Relations portfolios. Current Minister Joël Lightbound takes over from Guilbeault as Carney's Quebec lieutenant. In northern Saskatchewan, the Lac La Ronge Indian Band is working to rebuild after a summer wildfire reduced homes to rubble, and prefab construction is helping to speed up the process. As Lisa Rism reports, the community wants to be better prepared for future fires.
Miles Rat lost his home in June to the Pewis wildfire that swept through Sucker River towards La Ronge. Rat, his wife, his granddaughter, and her children were all left without a place to live.
Memories. I had a lot of stuff in here, pictures, sentimental memories, I guess. We're here and they all burned.
It burned to the edge of the community. It threatened the school and health clinic. In the end, a dozen homes in Sucker River were destroyed, along with the community's garbage truck.
The fire was really relentless, like it just kept coming and coming. But I'm really grateful for the ones that stayed back, because without them, we probably would have lost way more homes.
Chief Tammy Cook-Searson says they're fortunate no one died. This winter, the Lac La Ronge Indian Band is replacing more than 20 houses destroyed by the fire with ready-to-move homes. The band is working with Indigenous Services Canada to pay for the rebuild. Rat will be one of the first people to move back in.
That's a good thing about this band. They're there to help us, and they're always there for us. And I'm very thankful for them.
Chief Cook-Searson says she'd like to see more people trained in fire suppression, including how to set up sprinkler systems to save their own homes.
Like, communities can save their own communities, and if they're trained, have the proper equipment, then they can deploy as soon as an emergency comes up or you see a threat coming.
There will be 8 new band houses in Hall Lake and 1 each in La Ronge and Clambridge. The province has also replaced infrastructure like a wooden bridge that burned. The band hopes to have all of the work done by next spring. Lisa Rism, CBC News, Sucker River.
And weather specialist Mickey Wolf is here with a look at what might be a very frosty forecast. Mickey, you look at those images of the river, all of that ice floating down. We must not be too far away from that river just freezing over with how cold it's getting at night.
I agree, Alexander. I think that river is just about ready to freeze over, definitely within the next week, because we're seeing the temperatures dropping down, especially overnight. But first, let's take a look at those daytime temperatures. Today, we're seeing daytime highs around -12 for Regina. Things are looking quite chilly for most of the south and central regions in the recent days here. And then as well as our skies, we are seeing some snow as well, adding to the chill coming in from Alberta. And continuing to look at that snow for the next few days this week. We've got a low pressure system moving through the province that's going to bring with it some snow, especially in the south and central regions. And then we're going to see that high bringing clearer skies, a little bit of warmer temperatures Thursday before another low drops some more snow across Saskatchewan. Let's zoom in on some of those numbers. So we're going to see the first snowfall for the south and central region happen mostly overnight tonight and into tomorrow. We might see up to 5 centimeters for Meadow Lake, but we're sort of in that 1 to 5 centimeter range. But then as we get into Thursday evening, we will see a few more centimeters accumulating in the south and central regions, not quite up to 10 centimeters according to this model, but still some pretty considerable snowfall. And as well in the north, it's going to be a bit more gradual this week. We're going to see 1 to 5 centimeters across both the Churchill region and in the far north. So a little bit of snow in the north as well. I wanted to take a look at some of these wind speeds we're going to see tomorrow in the south and central regions. We're looking at wind speeds kind of in that 40 to 50 kilometer an hour gusting. So it is going to make things feel a little bit cooler, at least tomorrow afternoon. Taking a look ahead at the week in Regina, we are going to see temperatures drop potentially by more than 20 degrees tomorrow. So going from daytime highs of -4 down to -26 tomorrow night. So chillier evenings ahead. Then Wednesday, we're going to have cooler daytime temperatures, but a little bit warmer nighttime lows. And then as we get into the weekend and the rest of the week, things start to even out a little bit. We will see that snow coming in tomorrow and then again potentially over the weekend. And as far as Saskatoon goes, we will see some sunnier skies, but again, we've got that big temperature difference tomorrow, so watch out for that, as well as a little bit of snow Tuesday and Thursday. So Alexander, things are cooling down and we are going to be seeing some snow and possibly a frozen river.
Looks like some very cold nights ahead of us. Thanks, Mickey.
Definitely chilly. Thank you.
Well, 2 airline passengers are going public after airline employees tried to stop them from using their phones to record airport disputes. Erica Johnson looks at the incidents and what your rights are when it comes to recording.
This is mine. Is this your phone? Sir. Jason Huang was using his phone to record why he and his relatives couldn't check in. They'd just had a vacation in Banff, but at the airport learned they'd been moved to a later flight home to Toronto. Huang wanted to record the reason WestJet agents gave him, so he'd have proof when he tried to get compensation.
The manager suddenly grabbed my phone.
Stop! On tape, the WestJet agent says Huang can't record and won't be flying today if he doesn't stop, even reaching for Huang's elderly father's phone.
Shocking. I can't believe this is happening in Canada.
Delete the all pictures and all video for check-in.
This Air Transat agent tells passengers they won't be boarding either if they don't delete photos and videos they've taken of him. Midden Haridas and his wife had enjoyed a vacation in Punta Cana. Were heading back to Toronto, but at the airport they apparently stood in the wrong line. The agent became irritated, so Haridas started recording.
So I didn't have all the details whether it was allowed or not, but I was like, this is the right thing to do. I'm going to do it.
Hola. As punishment, the agent denied boarding. They had to buy new tickets home on another carrier, took their case to small claims. A judge called Air Transat's treatment egregious, said the recordings proved that, and awarded $7,000 in damages. Air Transat said in a statement the airline regrets the experience didn't meet its usual high standards of customer service. This expert in privacy law says recordings can be useful when trying to get compensation, and air passengers have the legal right to make them during a dispute.
The airlines just need to make it clear to their staff that these types of recordings are permitted.
That's because under the law, a conversation can be recorded as long as one of those persons, in this case the person doing the filming, consents. WestJet apologized, but no compensation for Huang. He's now filed a complaint with the Canadian Transportation Agency. He says the experience tainted his trip and his trust. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Welcome to London Zoo's Penguin Beach. Fish was the gift for this Advent calendar's first day, and every subsequent day for that matter. And there were holiday photos. Humboldt penguins can swim at 48 kilometers an hour and are classified as vulnerable. Several penguins bypassed the calendar tradition and went straight to the source. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Canada's men's and women's curling teams for Milano Cortina 2026 have officially been named.
Now we get to stand together, realizing this dream that we started 4 years ago together as a unit. There's not enough words to describe the feelings and emotions we've gone through in these last couple of days together.
That's Rachel Homan, the women's skip, speaking at this morning's announcement. Team Homan defeated Christina Black's team in the women's final this weekend at the Canadian Curling Trials in Halifax. Homan herself is a 2-time Olympian and 3-time world champion, and Brad Jacobs will lead the men's team to Milano Cortina. All 4 of the men's core players are returning Olympic medalists. Brett Gallant from the men's team and Jocelyn Peterman for the women will represent Team Canada in mixed doubles. Well, there's about 2 months to go until the Olympic Winter Games. CBC News chief correspondent Adrian Arsenault and CBC Olympics reporter Devin Haru will be on the ground in Milan to officially kick things off. They'll host the opening ceremony, which you can watch live on Friday, February 6th at 12:30 p.m. local on CBC and CBC News Network. And Mickey Wolf is back with a final look at some snow on the way.
There is snow on the way, Alexander, and there are also colder temperatures, especially this evening. Let's take a look at some of those lows we will see across Saskatchewan tonight. In the south and central regions, we're looking at -15, -16, kind of a bit colder in the south and central parts near the south and central west border. It's looking a little bit warmer, but we will see some snow overnight tonight across those areas of the province. And then as well in the north, things are really chilly this evening, especially in the far north. We've got temperatures down to almost -20 as we get into the daytime hours. In the north, we might see some chances of flurries throughout the day, but by the afternoon, we should see some sunnier breaks. And looking to tomorrow for the south and central regions of Saskatchewan, definitely seeing that snow moving across the province as we get into the afternoon hours, and hopefully making its way out by the time we hit our traffic time at 5 p.m., Alexander.
Hopefully, it may be cold out there, but really just back to reality of winter in Saskatchewan.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Mickey.
Thank you.
And that's how things looked in our province on this Monday. For more news anytime, you can head on over to our website. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow evening. Have a good night.